When scientists talk about ocean-driven heat, they are describing a force so vast and slow-moving that it often escapes public attention until it suddenly strikes. The oceans absorb more than 90% of the excess heat trapped by greenhouse gases, and when this stored warmth begins to circulate toward the surface, the effects are not localized. It spills into the air, alters global wind and rain patterns, and pushes temperatures to extremes that human societies are not built to endure. The invisible boundary between ocean and atmosphere becomes a weapon of instability, and some regions, more than others, stand directly in its path. The populations most at risk are not evenly spread across the globe. They live in coastal and tropical regions where rising sea temperatures amplify humidity and heat stress beyond the body's limits. South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, parts of Central America, and the island nations of the Pacific and Indian Oceans are particularly exposed. In these regions, the combination of ocean warming, air stagnation, and weak infrastructure becomes a perfect storm for health disasters. When sea surface temperatures rise by even 1 degree Celsius, heat waves last longer, nights stay hot, and humidity prevents sweat from cooling the skin. What follows are mass increases in heat exhaustion, dehydration, and organ failure, especially among outdoor workers, the elderly, and children. In countries like India, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, where millions rely on manual labor in agriculture or construction, ocean-driven warming transforms daily life into a survival challenge. Fields become ovens, factories become suffocating chambers, and urban heat islands magnify the suffering. The poorest have no air conditioning, no access to healthcare, and often no political voice. A worker fainting in a rice paddy under 40-degree heat is not an isolated tragedy. It's the physical expression of global imbalance. By mid-century, scientists warn that entire regions could experience wet bulb temperatures, the lethal combination of heat and humidity that exceed what the human body can tolerate for more than a few hours. These are not future abstractions. They are already occurring in parts of the Persian Gulf and South Asia. Island nations face another nightmare. Not only are they exposed to extreme heat, but their freshwater systems and food supplies are collapsing as ocean temperatures rise. Coral reefs, which protect coastlines and support fisheries, are bleaching and dying. Without these natural barriers, storms grow stronger, saltwater seeps into drinking water, and fish stocks decline. For communities in the Maldives, Fiji, or the Philippines, the ocean that once sustained life now threatens to erase it. Health systems on these islands are small, hospitals limited, and evacuation routes non-existent. A prolonged marine heat wave can decimate livelihoods and push entire populations into hunger and migration. In wealthy nations, the story takes a different but equally dangerous form. Coastal megacities, New York, Miami, Shanghai, Tokyo, are not immune to oceanic heat feedbacks. As warm water expands, sea levels rise, and combined with stronger storms, these cities face recurrent flooding and the spread of waterborne diseases. Urban heat trapped by concrete, plus ocean humidity, creates conditions where respiratory illnesses, asthma, and cardiovascular death soar. Air quality worsens as heat accelerates the formation of ground-level ozone, and those already living with chronic disease are pushed past their limits. The illusion of safety provided by technology and wealth begins to crack when power grids fail under extreme heat or when hospitals overflow with heatstroke patients. The most severe health consequences of ocean-driven warming extend beyond the physical. Psychological stress, anxiety about environmental collapse, and forced migration due to lost homes and livelihoods create waves of mental health crises. As farming regions in Africa and South Asia dry out or flood alternately, people are forced to move, often into overcrowded urban centers where disease spreads more rapidly and healthcare systems are overstretched. The displacement of millions becomes a humanitarian disaster with cascading effects: malnutrition, conflict over water, and the breakdown of social stability. It is a grim irony that the populations contributing the least to climate change are the ones suffering first and hardest from the ocean's response. Coastal fishers in West Africa, subsistence farmers in Bangladesh, and families in Pacific Islands emit a fraction of the carbon of industrialized countries, yet they bear the brunt of an ocean they did not poison. The global health divide deepens, creating a form of climate apartheid, where survival increasingly depends on the ability to buy protection from air conditioning, fortified housing, and imported food. The warnings could not be clearer. The Southern Ocean's heat release, the North Atlantic's circulation slowdown, and the Pacific's persistent marine heat waves are not isolated events. They are early signals of a planet losing its capacity to buffer human excess. Once these thresholds are crossed, recovery may be impossible for centuries. The health consequences, deadly heat, air pollution, disease outbreaks, hunger, will not respect borders. What must be understood is that adaptation is not a comfortable process. It is painful, expensive, and limited by biology. Humans cannot evolve fast enough to withstand sustained 40 degrees Celsius humidity, nor can crops adapt overnight to shifting oceanic temperatures. Unless emissions drop sharply and the oceans are given a chance to stabilize, billions could face a world where outdoor work becomes impossible, food systems fail, and disease thrives. In the end, mapping vulnerable regions is not just an academic exercise, it's a map of humanity's most fragile pulse points. The oceans are no longer silent partners in climate regulation. They are beginning to speak, and their language is heat. If humanity refuses to listen, the price will not only be environmental loss, it will be measured in lives, dignity, and the slow unraveling of civilizations built on the illusion that the Earth systems would always remain stable. The greatest health emergency of this century is not a virus or a war. It is the ocean's rising fever, and we are already inside it.